Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our American Idol reaction for the top 20. We have just watched the American Idol at home experience.
What a crazy time we're in. I never thought I would ever see anything like this. But it was actually a really cool experience because we got to kind of see people's houses and where they live and get to know a little bit about them, how they, put together their sets at home and watch Johnny look like he just rolled out of bed and onto his couch and just started playing. And then we got Sam who's like dressed so gorgeous. It was interesting.
There was a lot of observations I had just watching people. Looked like somebody had just taken all the lamps in their house and put them behind them to sort of stage that. I appreciated the effort. Somebody else was like in front of like a really great lake, and it's just like, out of all the places to get stuck, that feels like a pretty good place actually.
Yeah, that was cool. I just really liked having that, just that extra bit of feeling of get to know you, of where you are, what kind of stuff is in your house, sees kind of your family around, everybody with their signs. It was really cool. I liked it a lot.
Dwayne was performing in front of a Christmas tree. It is April. That was unexpected, and I am very pro keep up your Christmas tree as long as possible, but Dwayne Crocker Jr., he may be taking it to the next level here, but we're not here to talk about Dwayne's tree. We're here to talk about our
Jovin's carpet.
Or Jovin's carpet was
It was so cool. I loved it. He had like the whole setup with the stage and that gorgeous carpet on the wall.
Yeah.
Get out of here. It was so good.
Well,
I loved it.
we've got 5 performances that we really loved from the show that we're going to talk about. These are our top 5. So if you loved Arthur Gunn, Francisco Martin, Grace Leer, Kimmy Gabriela, and Franklin Boone, you are in the right place, and we're going to go through everyone. But before we dive in, if you guys do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other updates. All right, so
we got to start with Arthur.
All right.
If you've been here at the channel with us throughout this season already, you know how much we both really love Arthur.
Yeah, I think we're about as pro Arthur as Arthur can be. This was interesting because it was the first time Arthur all season has performed a song that I'm not really that familiar with.
Yeah, me too. I'm not familiar with this at all. But again, it was kind of like the cool setup out in his porch, cool carpet, cool lights, to get to see his neighborhood. It was cool.
Yeah, it really felt like he lives in kind of a bluegrassy area. It kind of had that vibe to it. I liked the style of it. I liked how he performed. It was simple in a way. It wasn't like too over the top and dramatic, but he still brought a lot of energy to Lovin Machine, which I think if you were going to do a song entitled Lovin Machine, you cannot look like an actual machine yourself. So kudos to Arthur on that, and for just he's just got that cool signature, just like growl and vocal. He like brings you into all of it, and I was all about that.
Yeah, his voice, man, it's so good. And even with a song that I've never heard before, I was still able to be like, yeah, I'm really into this. This is cool. I'm getting into the beat of it. His voice is just amazing. Like, the guy can sing me the phone book, and I'm going to be like, yeah, man, all right. Whose phone number is this I'm listening to?
I was convinced all day that Arthur would be the last person to perform because I think he's probably going to win this show. He's our favorite to win. I think he's a lot of America's favorite to win.
Yeah.
I think he's incredible. I mean, to me, this wasn't Is This Love, which I'm so attached to that song that I think it's probably my favorite because of that.
Or that mix-up of Have You Ever Seen the Rain that he, like, reconfigured into this, like, brand new song, which is my top Arthur Gunn.
Yeah.
Loved that.
Yeah, I think we both have our personal favorite Arthur performance. And even though this is not our favorite Arthur performance, just by that measure, I think it is still like head and shoulders above like almost everyone else in the competition. He is just so consistently good.
And it was interesting, too, to see, he had gotten the criticism from Katie to keep his eyes open a little bit. And then when he was on his own with this performance, he wasn't keeping his eyes open. To me, it doesn't change his voice. Like, his voice is still his voice. And he's still just so good. And so it was interesting to see her bring that back up again.
Yeah, and I see where she's coming from, that sometimes it's great to tell a story through your eyes a little bit, and I know he'll continue to work on that. And I think ultimately his style, his voice, the way he transcends sort of what he's singing and makes these older songs feel current, it is hard to do.
And I think in general, like, Katie and everyone just kind of needs to remember that each singer does have their own thing that they do. Like, everybody's got that thing. Even people who aren't singers, we all have that thing that we do. Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't take away from him, his performance, how cool he is, none of it.
Speaking of cool, let's talk about, I think, Franklin Boone to me is probably my other overall favorite of the night. Just, I loved everything about this. I loved how he sang it, how he brought life into Everybody Wants to Rule the World, which, when you think about it, there's really not that many different notes in the original recording of it. Like, it's all kind of just sort of on the middle.
Yeah, it's true. And he did change this enough that it made me feel like I was, for just that minute, I had to be like, I wonder what song this is, because it was so different and very cool. I really love this performance. This was absolutely one of my favorites of the night. And I just love him, and I love his family all around him. Like, there's just so much to like about Franklin.
I think it's just something to me about how he's got his whole family to the side, and they've all got signs, and it just reminds me how good of a guy he must be, that there are so many people in his life who love him and want to stand there and cheer for him. And you know, you've got the little Go Daddy sign, and it was all like, oh, that was adorable. And yeah, I mean, there's going to be people who may want to vote for him based on the signs, but I just think his voice and his performance was so cool. And there's just something about him that is just so incredibly likable. And I hadn't heard him do a song exactly like this, and he really blew me away. I knew he was great coming into this, but I'm still like, all right, Franklin, I see you. I think Arthur's still the favorite, but you're climbing up the ranks.
Yeah, Franklin, this was a great performance from him. This may be my favorite performance from him. I really liked him before, but this was great. I think it was just a mixture of how great his voice is, how he kind of rearranged the song to feel really fresh, and then I get to look into his home, and there's his family and all the signs. I was just like, man, this is just a win.
It really was. It was a win.
Okay, so next we're going to talk about Grace Leer. I've been dying to talk about Grace because I've said it before, I'll say it again, I am not a country fan. I don't dislike it, I'm not a fan. I don't really listen to it. It wasn't really music that I grew up around. I grew up around the same stuff that Arthur did, sort of bluegrass and kind of rock and roll and that feeling. So country, I don't have a lot of a connection with, but for some reason, Grace, I love everything about her. She's so beautiful. Her voice is just gorgeous. I was so happy that she ended up into the competition. We just had that thing with her and Lauren of who was going to get in. I wish that they both could have, but I'm so happy that Grace is here. She did Cry Tonight, a song that I'm not that familiar with. But again, it was like with Arthur, where I'm like, oh, I'm not really familiar with this song, but wow, what a great rendition of it.
Yeah, I think I've heard this song maybe a few times, but it's still relatively new to me too. And I admitted that I was Team Lauren on the vote between Lauren and Grace, but Grace has validated her inclusion over Lauren just thoroughly with this performance. It wasn't just that she sang it.
It was
really
also
incredibly.
That beautiful jacket with all the fringe on it. That was crazy. I'd never seen a jacket like that before.
I'm only a fringe guy if it has John Noble in it. There's a joke that like two people will get. Oh, no. Don't start bashing fringe.
Okay, this can't turn into the fringe video. Okay, we're going to be here all night.
Yeah, I will say this about Grace. She delivered just the emotion of this, where I just totally bought into everything that she was singing, everything that she was feeling, and to be able to have that sort of moment when it just kind of looked like she was standing outside of her house, and that's not the easiest place, I think, to probably do that, because you probably got like some dudes like driving by or whatever.
Yeah, it's like
else
a basketball
is
net in the neighbor's place, but I think she kind of, the area that she was in made it feel a lot like it fit in with that country vibe. You know, she had these beautiful flowers and flower beds around her, and then she had the cool jacket on. And the thing that I appreciated also about Grace so much is she knew where all her cameras were, because anytime it felt like it was moving to another camera, and she's like, I'm assuming out there by herself or maybe with her family or something, she knew where it was and where to look. And I was like, she's really good.
Yeah, Grace is professional, slick, emotive. Best performance from her I've seen. I'm really excited about her moving forward, and she's going to have the country crowd. She's going to move forward. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
I am also not worried about Francisco Martin, who does, in honor of the American Idol Purell bottle that is Katy Perry, which I was sort of like, okay, Katie, this is a funny bit for about 2 minutes, and then Ryan was sort of like, are you ready to de-bottle, Katie? And I thought, okay, we're moving away from the bit now, and she's just like, nope, we're doing the whole show in the bottle.
When I heard Francisco was doing Teenage Dream, I was like, oh man, that's bold. If he can pull this off, then he definitely is going to be like top 3, because it is real bold to do a song of one of the judges. You have to be really good, because they're going to be critical of you. And Katie is one of the judges that is very critical, and it's good, because it's a constructive criticism. She's not there to tear anybody down, but because it's her own song, of course she's going to be like, yeah, I've sung this a million times, what am I looking for in this performance? So for even to hear her say this was really good, I was like, I'm glad she said that it was, because it was.
I think this song is really tough to do, because I mean, musically, it's not, the notes aren't all over the place, but you have to tap into just like this very specific nostalgia, and there's all this emotion that is kind of within Teenage Dream, where it's about so much more than how somebody makes you feel. And Katie's version of it is really, really good. The other one I always think about is like the Darren Criss Glee version that I think is really, really good too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I think Francisco nailed this. I think he actually kind of encapsulated the let's run away and never look back sort of feeling that you get in the song, where there's that recklessness but that sweetness to it. And I think because he comes across as kind of shy, it works so well for him. And I really like it. I just like his rainbow guitar strap. It just like makes me very happy.
I just like everything about him. I really do. He's just so, his voice, man, it is just gorgeous. And then there's just that vulnerability about him, and such a likability about him, and a relatability about him. Like, he's really going to be a threat this season.
He is. And I feel just as confident with him as I do pretty much everyone else we talked about. I'm probably, out of the people we've talked about the most, maybe I'm a little worried about Franklin, because he kind of performed early in the show. Maybe he could be forgotten about. I hope not, but you know, and our last person's Kimmy Gabriela, and she started the show, and that's not always great.
Yeah, it's not usually great, but her performance was outstanding. Her voice is probably it is one of the best voices in this competition. It is like nobody else's voice. And I was really quite surprised to see how much she actually ended up changing her look. And this is from a comment that Katy Perry made in the last time that she was performing, that she basically told Kimmy that she's forgettable, that she's got this gorgeous voice, but that she's kind of forgettable, which I think is complete you-know-what.
Yeah.
I don't believe that even for a second. I think Kimmy's really gorgeous, her nice, beautiful curly hair. I mean, and then when I saw her tonight, for a second, I was like, who is this? And then I was like, oh my goodness, it's Kimmy. She's completely changed her look, and she's flattened out her hair and changed her style. And to me, like, even Kitty was like, oh, wow, you know, like, you changed all the stuff, and it's so much, you know, it's so great, and you're growing into this. And I don't know. I think like she looked gorgeous tonight and she looked gorgeous before. I don't think she was forgettable before. She's not forgettable tonight.
I never thought she was forgettable. I always thought that was weird. I liked her performance background. It was sort of like outside. There was like these flowers around her. It looked like she was performing in like a wedding gazebo or something. Yeah. And she just, I mean, with Leave Me Lonely, this is a song that actually requires, this is a pretty big song. And she hit a lot of the notes. I thought that it was because she was like the lead-off hitter to this weird experiment where if the production value or her voice on this had been really bad, I think everyone would have been like, well, this experiment is awful. I'm not watching any more of it.
Yeah, and I wondered if maybe they ended up putting her first because her voice is so strong that if it can't handle her voice, then it's not going to handle anybody's voice.
This was a, hey, America, we're not screwing this up performance, and I am really, really happy that Kimmy started it. I think she'll probably be fine, but we will find out next week. For now, though, let's hear from you guys. How did you like tonight's episode of American Idol? Who were your favorites? Share in the comments, and if you did like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and support us further by checking that link in the description to the store, and we'll see you here next time.